All news is faked. Here's a fake news story. Stranger danger. Again, these are the people faking the news are the people that did 9/11, the people that did COVID, the people that did the Israeli concert hoax attack. They're creating narratives so you react, so you gladly kill people while they cook your brain with neurotoxins, while they cook your brain with EMF poisoning. The Spanish flu in World War One, during World War One, was right when they first rolled out radio towers globally. They knew when they put a 5G tower on every other corner that some people would be susceptible and get sick, and they needed an excuse. They needed a cover. The side effects of EMF poisoning are brain fog, loss of taste and smell, trouble breathing. You can get fever from that because your body's trying to fight off something that it thinks is a bug, but it's just the EMF poisoning. And some people are going to be less healthy, more susceptible to that. They knew that they'd have clusters of dead people around cell phone towers, so they did COVID to mask it. That's how far gone your government is right now. And that's not your government. That's, when I say your government, I can be sure wherever somebody plays this in China, or someone plays this in Hong Kong, or someone plays this in Australia, yes, your government is that far gone. NATO is now a evil mafia-style cabal that assassinates whistleblowers and does false flag news, and you can tell. You just watch one fake story. That's all it takes. One little proof of fake story. They could have 1,000 pieces of evidence that, oh yeah, this really happened, but one piece of evidence that says it doesn't dismantles the whole thing. That's how logic works. That's if the Turkish assassin grew a beard when he was shot dead, then that means they were shooting over 2 days. That's the guy that assassinated the Turkish prime minister. If this woman sat down to get makeup and blood after the car drove down the street once, so there's no way that she got hit after the car drove down the street once in the Westminster attack, that means you've got corrupt cops, you've got corrupt British intelligence, you've got corrupt US intelligence not exposing it. No, we don't need to kill them. This was a faked attack. Calm your anger. They're not attacking us all day long. But they want you angry, they want you violent, they want you bloody, they want blood guilt on your hands or something weird and sick and twisted like that. I don't know. Again, the way I would look at it, it's not really people's fault for being deceived, but they're stirring people up, bringing out the worst nature of people. It's no different than if you're sensitive about that sort of thing and someone cuts your car off in traffic and then you have a bad day. Only they're making bad days by doing 9/11. Like there's no way in the world that the rookie amateur pilots who failed Cessna training managed to pinpoint right at ground level flying a jumbo jet. They disgraced Stubblebine for exposing them. They made him out to be a crazy person like that. He spent his life serving his country. He was in intelligence. He got to see the 9/11 cameras at the pentagram at the Pentagon. They were all turned off that day for so I keep making this point that the corner store when I was growing up had a VHS security system, and it was on every single day of my life for the 20 years I was going there. It never failed, but the Pentagon just happened to have all their cameras turned off that day. These guys think that this is the way they work things, this is the way they get things done, but this is just what destroys life. This is why we don't have great people in the country anymore, and we have weak men, blah blah blah. Because when strong men show up and would be an amazing example to people, they shoot them in the head from 10 yards away. A fellow Army Ranger mistook a giant NFL Pro Bowl linebacker for a skinny Iraqi guy from 10 yards away, after he said he was going to go start a peace movement because he didn't like that he was guarding poppy fields, and he was a big enough figure he would have derailed. I mean, that's like Captain America shows up and said, hey kids, America's gone bad, like, you're going to start listening to Captain America. So they assassinated Pat Tillman. Yeah, this was the what I was talking about. the Sandy Hook, the cameras were down that day. They had a new camera system. Orlando Post. That's a big insurance no-no to have no cameras in your nightclub, but the cameras were down that day. The Nice, France truck attack. A woman lost her job, a lieutenant in French police, I think it was, lost her job for refusing to destroy the footage of the Nice truck attack the next day. Like, that's evidence. Why are they destroying it the next day? Epstein, the cameras were down, but then now that later they say they're up. This is an old meme I made. But your local convenience store, 24/7, it never fails. I hate to paint targets so directly, but this is not a terrorist army. He's a man who stands like he's had U.S. military training. Probably CGI people or something, but I mean, you get those artifacts in photos, but that's a strange artifact on that guy's face. Probably there's a strange straight line, but I don't know if that's photoshopped or what. But anyway, like this right here. This is your government. We need enemies so that we have power, so we can do evil, so that nobody will stop us or notice. And again, I'm just going through the stuff I go through every time, but
Quebec just caught on fire all at once on a clear day. I would say this would be some kind of terrorism of some kind or an attack. Here it is. Here we are. I'm going to let the images load. You can see this morning. It's clear. Just partly cloudy skies. Nothing really crazy going on there. And then, well, here's last night. Here's today. All of southeast Quebec just caught on fire, guys. All of it. Insane. Insane. Look at that.
and that's how high up, so those fires are, 20 miles apart. I don't know if they have multiple space lasers that they used at once, or they just told their arson guys. That was if you live in New York, that was that when the sky was orange 2 summers ago. That was that Quebec engineered wildfire. So yeah, they fake all news. And you can tell how they go on trends. Like you never heard about somebody getting thrown off a plane for something crazy, except for the post 9/11 false flag shoe bomber. But you just never hear. And then all of a sudden they start doing news stories about it. And they're like, oh, that's a great idea. It's a closed. It's not on a street, so nobody can walk up and expose them. They completely control the environment. And then they can say, oh my God, look at these Muslims. We need to kill them all. This kid survived 3 separate terrorist attacks. And he heals faster than Wolverine, like the meme says. They just moved in their crisis actors. I was there. I saw a guy running and screaming. I know it's real. This is Terence that they assassinated for trying to expose that the Oklahoma City bombing was an inside job. All day same stuff. Neurotoxin, sky poisoning. Contrails disappear. Contrails dissipate. Chemtrails propagate. Chemtrails cause a chemical reaction in the sky. So they spread after the contrail disappears because the sun saps it dry, and it just goes back to stasis like it was before the airplane was there. But chemtrails, whatever they're spraying to cook our brains, spreads out. Crazy. This was 2 quotes, the same exact quote from both the gunman and one of the crisis actor witnesses. Telling. This was the Vegas sniper. Like, you saw the news photo and this photo on the top, and you're like, oh my God, that man had to hide for his life. Like, you just glance at it and it's a small little blurb. But when you zoom in and pull it up and see what was going on in the background, there's people ordering food in the background. So there's 50 dead corpses right behind them at this concert. And they're like, okay, we're done for the night. Okay. Again, that ties right into My good friend here, I hope she's okay. I hope she wasn't too loud. I hope she didn't speak out too much. But they accidentally hot mic'd her at the Vegas sniper hoax.
The ammunition and determine.
So she says she's next to the camera. The camera's panning across the field. They just broadcast their camera footage and didn't realize that there was a woman standing right next to their camera with the hot mic. So while they're doing their ABC News interview, you can still find this video with that title on YouTube. You can still find it. While she's sitting there next to the camera, she says,
Took the time to gather the weapon, the ammunition, and determine where would be the best vantage point to open fire, spray on the thousands of spectators.
And Brad Garrett, from what we know of...
On our way out, I mean, it was just chaos. It was a war zone.
A war zone. And then it was...
So the news is telling you it's a war zone, and the eyewitness on the scene, who's not on a payroll, says, I'm not buying it right now. I see people laying, but I really don't see anybody actually injured. It's a very funny thing to say when you're 30 yards away from 50 corpses. And then if you make 50 corpses with machine gun fire into a crowd, you're gonna make another like 100 wounded bloody messes. This was they panned by this with the guy stopped the man who was stabbing 11 people. It's very hard to stab 11 people. Like after the second person, the third person's like, I'm not gonna get stabbed. The fourth person join in and be like, there's gonna be somebody who's heroic, who's the fifth person, and that stabber's gonna get stopped. But they fake all news. They fake all news. They fake all news. It gives them power, control, it gives them trillions of dollars in tax money. They don't have to put it to parks, they can put it to their private wars. They don't have to put it to roads, they can put it to false flags. They don't have to put it to public works. They put it to bioterrorism. Here's a fun one that I learned about on my own. Reminds me why I need to quit smoking while they torture my brain, especially. But cigarettes directly cause schizophrenia. And the spin that they always do on things, correlation's not causation. Yeah, but people have to say that because generally it's true, so you don't want to always be wrong. You don't want to assume that it's true every time and be wrong sometimes, but generally correlation is causation. Generally, if you've got a brain and you've isolated some simple things, like that's causation. And this would have to be hidden, but this would have to be hidden because the lawsuits would go full tilt again, especially when there's science on it, so it's known fact. But I don't know where I was going with that. But anyway, here's the death clouds. Never seen a cloud like that in my whole life. All of a sudden they're popping up on top of cities. Hey, where's the other death clouds? Here's the other day of death clouds. Like every last one of these weird clouds that you've never seen in your life is on top of a highly populated city center. Strange. I mean, they look like an oil spill. It looks like if you grab a paper towel and spill something on top of it. That's the pattern it would make. Again, not to play the victim here, but this is my new neighbor that they had ram my car. If he'd have caught me like an inch or two back, he would have caught my tire and spun my car into oncoming traffic. I don't know which random gang stalker this is. You get lots of random gang stalkers at this corner when I go for a walk in the morning, when I go to 7-Eleven like I invariably do. So they have like an attack vector for mind control. You are watched, we are wanting you. When it should be 1 in 50 cars have a vanity plate, 1 out of 2 cars at that light has a vanity plate. That's some odds-defying stuff, and it just happens every day. That's the gang stalk torture. That's where are the whistleblowers? Well, they made them crazy and suicidal and tortured them. Again, same stuff, different day, but here's a woman going towards the terrorist attack. She's grabbing her kid's hand, and then the news photo is, oh my god! That guy just got blatted by a car and there's no blood. But they have their crisis actor water bottle on hand. That's the two things, if you look at the older ones where they kept getting exposed because they were doing them so poorly. There'd always be water bottles on hand, and there'd always be a missing shoe in the street. Crazy but true. This is why we can't have nice things. This is that same attack. This is how slow the car was going. There's a guy jogging, and he's going as fast as the car that's ramming people. So they just had circus tumblers live in the street. People said that the streets were blocked off that day around that area. They had fire trucks surrounding that area before it happened. And then the other one from this that just makes it super obvious that it was fake news is this one. This one here. Again, I'm just on repeat, but a car going 50 miles an hour has a 97% kill rate on pedestrians. But two guys defied the odds here. This car is supposedly going 90 miles an hour according to witnesses. Two guys defied the odds here and surfed on the hood of the car. So, car going 50 miles an hour has a 97% chance to kill you, but a car going 90 miles an hour, you just wind up surfing on the hood of the car. Okay, just like, look at that. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. They screw up when they fake news in other countries. Much like Ebola was like a dry run for COVID, and you think about like what a horror Ebola is, and it didn't get contained, so there's no reason, nobody's got an immune system response for it built up. Like, you just die, but it just kind of disappeared somehow, magically. Just like this kid magically dying in the street on a blanket. They're kind of gentler false flag news fakers there. These guys don't have to be involved in torture or anything, so they don't get so disgusting. Those guys don't have to assassinate people, so they're not as sophisticated as our guys. They don't have to worry about getting caught as being assassins, so they're not as sophisticated. This is how low the Pentagon plane would have had to go to make that hole. It would actually have to go lower, but anyway. Not happening, not in a million years. That cannot come from that. Can't happen. Round hole, square peg. Well, anyway, people always forget 9/11. Tower 7 fell on its own because they had 4 hijacked planes, and I guess the military got on its job and shot one down. But standing there next to the Twin Towers was the, I don't know if it would have been the final target, or who knows, maybe it would have been the first target. For extra drama, the small building got hit, then the big buildings got hit. But anyway, it collapsed in free fall by itself out of sympathy. But, you know, there were 4 hijacked planes, 3 of them hit their targets, and I wonder where the 4th target was. I wonder where that 4th plane was heading. You can still find the firefighters on YouTube talking about, we were told to get out, they're going to pull it. And pull it's a demolition term, and demolitions for a building that big would take months to set up and months to plan. You can't just put 4 sticks of dynamite and collapse it into its footprint. So anyway, they spend all day saying crazy conspiracy theorists, and they have their weird mind control tech and whatever evil spiritual things protect these things, so it's very hard to get through to people. But like, I don't get how they're like, yes, evil will win, we will be the hard chargers for evil, and evil will be victorious. And like, I just don't get how they're happily trying to make evil win. It makes no sense to me. Look at this guy's face has got Photoshop blood clearly, but just like the blood patterns on. Like the makeup guy was like, you look good, I like the way that works. Look, so I'm gonna do another one like this. Your undershirt won't be bloody, but the shirt over it will be bloody. Okay, how's that work? It's gonna dry out at your collar a little bit and be fine. Just like, how does that work? A couple of shades of blood there. This is their constant war on terror that they need, because if someone were to expose them, they need to indoctrinate all their new peasants. If someone were to expose them, the House of Cards is, like the one whistleblower said, there's an atmosphere of fear in the CIA. Why do you have an atmosphere of fear when you're safe in your offices and safe in your, because they're afraid they're going to get caught. They're doing very bad things, and I'm sure they're stuck in it, or they think they're stuck in it. They can't make the moral break of falling on their sword and blah, blah, blah. So they just keep doing it. Keep poisoning babies, keep poisoning this guy, keep poisoning water, keep poisoning food, and it just goes on, just on every day. They've got millions of people who are happily poisoning people for comfort and profit, and yeah, and this is all insane. None of this makes life better, people. None of this makes the world a better place to live in. None of this brings you closer to God. None of this makes beauty happen. None of this makes people healthy. Here are the other shots of the Pentagon. Like, again, that plane, there's no way. Across those fields, across those trees, there's even a dip in the, there's like a slight valley there. Just no way. No way. Not gonna happen. That light pole went down all the way across the street. That means that plane was, its wings or its bottom were 12 feet off the ground, all the way across that field. Like, just no. That's after, like, all the collapsed building on top is not where the plane hit. The plane hit on the bottom. So they had some Pentagon offices they wanted to renovate, I guess. I don't know, but like, look at those trees. Look at where the plane had to approach. So the plane would have had it coming from the right over here. Just, it's Luke Skywalker's not making that run on the Death Star. It's just impossible. So anyway, same rant, different day. My main problems right now are that they poison the sky, they poison babies, they use neurotoxins to poison our brains. They poison water, they poison food, and it's always neurotoxins. It's always what melts your brain. It's always what makes you irritable, short-tempered, prone to suggestion, unintelligent, so you need to get regurgitated information. You can't think for yourself. I was just telling my friend today about Frank Tufano. He was a genius. Come up with like actual real medical theory and put together nutritional facts in ways that nobody else was. And they came for him. They destroyed his business. They destroyed his life. If you watch his videos from like 5 years ago, he's just like smiling and happy and like, yeah, we got a new product today, it's gonna be great. And now it's like, guys, just keep hitting it. I got a sweat drop. Guys, I know my channel used to be he was at home living life, taking care of his special needs sister. That's the kind of glow that they can't have in their world. Also the kind of thing they need to shut down, poison, destroy. Happiness is infectious, and goodness goes round. Goodness will make bad people have a good day and realize that good is better than evil, or something like that. I don't mean to make it so hardcore existential, but us the way it seems to be. They just keep going for most evil possible, most evil possible, most destruction possible, most evil possible. Most world destroying, mind destroying possible. I hate to make fun, but that was my childhood. G.I. Joe and the Weather Dominator. So anyway, that's all that. That's my slideshow. I'm a camping safari to Nazi America. Using World War II street cred. We beat the Nazis, so the Nazis were able to move in and say, yes, we are NATO. And now they're doing their Nazi stuff as under the guise of NATO, under the guise of their World War II street cred, under the guise of, hey, how come Barack Obama, everyone says his wife is a man and his daughters look just like his best friends? That's strange. Look at Sonny, so happy. So anyway, insane. This what make life bad for people. This why life very bad. I won't be out here taking good composition photos and be like, look, this photo has such good composition. I had a happy day. Instead, I gotta get gang stalked, tortured. The cops had someone pulled over, and anyway. This again. Like, you need to know how they work. They wanted people to get the jab. They knew not everyone was getting the jab. So they drummed up a scare story, like if you're on the fence, should I get the jab? Shouldn't I get the jab? And they said, they put it in your head that jabs were running out. That they're so precious that when a car got stopped in the snow, they had to give them out on spot. Otherwise the people would have perished. And they sold 13.8 billion jabs. 13.8 billion jabs at $100 markup each. They made a few dollars for themselves and their friends. And that's where their vaccination cash cow. Every day, 9,000 kids in America alone have to get 90 shots now. Like, that's a cash cow. That's like, imagine like how the 7-Eleven guy would feel if, like, you have to buy 20 packs of cigarettes today. It's mandated by the government. He'd be a happy camper. And then that money goes to kickbacks, and people think, oh, there's no evil, nefarious forces. It just happens to be that where greed lands is perfectly to cook everyone's brain out, and angry dead spirits or something wanting brain homes in people so they fry their brains. I suppose it would line up with the Christian scripture. I don't know. I can't make sense of any of it. But anyway, that's your government. That's the false flag news world. That's your psychopath media. Hey. And then there's good happy men like Dr. Bugby doing amazing work, and he's a good happy man. And why can't you guys be good happy people? Hey. The heck? Oh, that was something. That was something. Hey. So anyway, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? Close it with this. I know this is stuff that I just keep saying, but it keeps going on. It's, it's like, oh, this guy's always talking about the person raping the person in front of his house. Doesn't he ever give it a rest? They rape people in front of your house. Why do you care? Ugh.
Is she going on here? And I know all these things firsthand because I served on the Gaza border. And there's many people that say, oh, well, this was just a breach. No, that's not a breach. I'm sorry, that's not a breach. That's an inside job. So we're all trying to make sense of what happened on October 7th, which is Shmini Atzeret. So what I want to do is reverse engineer this thing a little bit to kind of help you understand why I believe that this was an inside job. September 1st, the Israeli government confiscated the weapons of the security teams in the Gaza Belt communities. Why that happened, nobody knows. Fast forward to September 10th. On September 10th, the Moatzah, which is basically the municipalities of the Gaza Belt communities, received reports of increased tensions on the border of Gaza during the Jewish holidays. Those same heads of municipalities asked the army if they should cancel their festivities in light of the warnings of increased tensions on the border of Gaza. And what did the army say? They said, no, don't cancel anything. It appears as though we're heading into a state of calm. Now, you can assume that the Shabak did not know about this attack, but that's highly improbable. I mean, Israel is probably the most advanced surveillance state in the world, and the Gaza border is probably the most heavily surveilled. The fence was breached in 15 different locations, and you want to tell me that the most highly advanced surveillance equipment on arguably any border in the world didn't pick that up, didn't report it? Well, they did, and it's documented. So don't believe that lie. Now, once thousands of Gazans on pickup trucks and hang gliders invaded Israel, which apparently nobody knew about, right? Okay, you believe that? Which apparently no one knew about. They had 7 hours to kill everyone in their path, completely destroy kibbutzim. Not only that, take hostages back to Gaza, unscathed, unopposed. Do you know how long it takes an attack helicopter to get activated and blow up any one of those tractors or pickup trucks or hang gliders that invaded Israel? Less than 5 minutes. And I know all these things firsthand because I served on the Gaza border. Less than 5 minutes. It all could have been over. It could have been it could have been a matter of 5 minutes before the whole thing was upended. And instead they had 7 hours, possibly 8, to conquer kibbutzim, kill thousands, and bring back hostages alive, unopposed. And there's many people that say, oh, well, this was just a breach. No, that's not a breach. I'm sorry, that's not a breach. That's an inside job. Like I said, this is not a video I wanted to do. This is not something, and oh, by the way, now America is coming with aid? Do you really think Israel needs American aid to fight Gaza? Gaza! Their most elite force, their air force is hang gliders, and their ground troops are pickup trucks. They don't even have a tank. And we need American aid Israel needs American aid to fight them? Are you f***ing serious? You don't think that there's anything fishy going on here?
I was just gonna leave it there, but he reminded me the surveillance state of the 5G towers. So they flex their mind reading tech on me all the time. You know, they rape the thought from my brain. Or like I bend down. It was like, you know, a few months ago I bent down and was like, what is this? What flavor scented oil do I have? And it was lemon balm, and it was like in a whole stack of, you know, 5 different scented oil diffuser oils. And I get upstairs and log into the video game, and the guy's name is Lemon Bomb. My brother comes home and shouts. That was mind control. That was direct, like eyeball thought reading. I don't know. But anyway, my brother came home. Much more mundane kind of spy tech, I guess. But my brother comes home and shouts when he got Chinese food, they forgot the brown sauce. And then I log into EverQuest here where people's names are, you know, Fantine and frickin' Kyon and Nulian and stuff like that. And the guy sitting in front of me was Mr. Brown Sauce when I logged in. That's their, you are watched, we are here, we are the evil assassin people. But, I get that kind of mind-reading, gang-stalking stuff all the time. I mean, that again, just audio listening stuff with the shouting the brown sauce stuff, but there's plenty of, I just thought it, and then they run a vanity plate in front of me with what I was thinking. So they can read your mind, they can track you, you know, like, if you know anything about, like, I don't know, data gathering, like it's just like easy enough to have data points on every single person where they are at all times. And man, I keep tapping this. data points about where everyone is in the whole country. Like, he goes to the supermarket at 2 a.m. and we're tracking him on our 5G radar. But they're not solving rapes. They're not, and I loathe to talk about it because people think that's a good idea. We can use spy tech to stop domestic violence and stuff. But anyway, they're not stopping rapes. They're not, they should instantly know where any murderer is because they're tracking every single person. And they can see 2 people walked into an alley. One guy became a corpse and another guy walked out. And where did that guy go? And he went here. But they don't use it to bust crimes because they can't have it exposed that they have that kind of invasive tech, and it's evil and it's draconian, and I'd rather live in a wild west world where I could get shot in the street than my government can track me to, he's taking a pee now. He usually poops at this time. But anyway, it's very telling that they don't use their tech to stop actual crimes, and they fake all news and start crimes, and they want power and money. They want you to feel like they're the ones that give you safety rather than, your own goodness, your own strength, your own independence. They need it to come from them. They need their power and control. Crazy but true. And I don't know what their agendas is, and I don't know what but it's not good. It's gone from bad to worse to worse to worse. They've spread their atmosphere of fear to everyone, and I don't get how they don't stop. Like everything biblical that you read is, it's like there's like the Old Testament stories are like, and he worshipped, Baals or something, or he was worshiping Molech, and God said, "I'll never forgive him," and then the guy stopped, and God forgave him. And Molech worshipping was like burning babies alive in ovens. It wasn't just like, oh, Molech. It was, you took a baby and you burned it alive in an oven. Ugh. So anyway, anything I've ever heard of good is redemptive, and like, oh, if you stop, then there's forgiveness. If you stop, there's mercy. If you stop, then things will get better. If you stop being evil, and it won't be a shit show. But they just gotta push evil and push evil down. Anyway, that's all that. Same rant, different day.